Aguascalientes, Jalisco.
Guadalajara, 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 Guadalajara. Ay, 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 ay,
Yep. All right, and we are live. Good morning. How about a woot woot, a round of applause for day 4 here at Guadalajara International Book Fair. Hi, Carmen. We'll have yours later. Together with us today on day 4 for Guadalajara International Book Fair is the author of the book Speedboat Race. We have Amir Khan. We have the author of the book The Great Global Pause, Maggie Reedy. Then we have the author of The Awakening of the Brave, Pastora Betsy Cordoba. And we have Muñecas, a memoir, Leticia Lopez, and The Future of Medicine. We have Dr. Dafine Caniaro.
Hello.
How are you guys doing? Perfect. So now on day 4, I know for Pastora Leticia, you've been here since day 1.
Yes.
We're so happy that you guys are here. We had Dr. Dafine and Maggie yesterday, and I think it's your second day, third day? Third day already for Amir. How was the experience? Let's start with Pastora Betsy.
Well, it's been wonderful to meet other people, publishers, wonderful to meet directors, even some of the illustrators. Everything has been quite a learning and growing experience, having to share the time with other wonderful authors. So really an enriching experience for us.
Great. And how about you, Leticia? I mean, you've been here since Saturday, and you have been promoting. So far, what's the highlight of your promotion?
The highlight was getting those people coming from the radio, the interviews. That was something special. And then getting, I'm not sure the name, but the person that came by who has bookstores and editorial. That's a great opportunity for all of us to be featured.
One bill.
Okay. And so for me, meeting other authors and just being in the same wave, it's like I was in Los Angeles and I was a duck, and look around, there was no ducks, and then I come here and everybody's a duck. So it feels great.
That's a wonderful metaphor,
It's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity. I know for Dr. Define, you just came by yesterday. Yeah, you just came by. How does it feel like meeting the rest of the authors that we have here in the fair?
It's been amazing. I mean, yeah, just look at all the beautiful authors here and their beautiful books. Reading their messages, and amazed at all the work that they're doing. It's really enriching experience already.
It totally is an enriching experience. Maggie, I heard that you're flying out tomorrow. How are you planning to spend the rest of the day?
I'm going to make as many connections as I can, and I feel like we're all lifting each other up, and Grandmother Turtle wants us to lift each other up, and she wants us to know that we all need each other. And I feel like when we're in a place like this where we're all connecting with our passion, we all have a special gift to share, we all have a different flavor to share, and we come together and we make a beautiful stew of creativity and passion, and a lot of gifts to share, and that the people want to hear different pieces and different flavors of what we're offering. So it's been really just beautiful to connect.
Exactly. How was the experience for you, Amir, knowing that you just didn't come here alone? You have with you your mom who's supporting you all the way. How does it feel like?
Well, it's great to be back here again. It's been 20 years since I came back.
Oh, 20 years.
20 years or so. Just, again, overall life, not being able to come back. But I enjoyed overall the great experiences, meeting everybody, particularly everybody, the authors from California. So it's a great opportunity. Also walking around, trying to see what other possibilities, opportunities are for the book as well. And just keep on learning. That again, this is not my first business industry. I'm an instructor as well as I work in IT. So this was very much a good quality learning experience. And hopefully, everybody can learn from it and create more books.
Amazing, amazing. Now, talking about career, let's set aside books for now. Let's talk about your career, something you're doing on a regular and a daily basis. How about you, Pastor? I heard that you've been everywhere. I've even heard about you flying to the Philippines several times.
Yes. Well, I am a pastor. It's been my calling been in ministry for the last 18 years. The last 13 years I've been a missionary pastor, dealing with pastors, working with them in different countries in areas of great need, and just working with their leadership, working with training the people around them, and trying to find resources that they have locally, and trying to reinforce them, add on to what they need so that they can become self-sufficient and allow them to help their own community. That's what we do, that's what we're passionate about, and everything that we do, from writing, from illustrating, from writing songs, and everything that we do is for that purpose, so that we can help others become self-sufficient.
Talking about being self-sufficient, Dr. Define, your career, tell us more about it.
So I came to the U.S. when I was 19, and I really wanted to go into medicine. It has been a dream of mine for long. So moving from Kenya to the U.S., I came, went to college, went to medical school, but I was particularly interested in prevention of disease because my background from my church, actually there was a lot of teachings about lifestyle and diseases. So I came with this background, and I'm like, there's something we can do in the medical field to really promote health, right? Not disease maintenance. So that's what I was passionate about, and went to medical school, got trained in family medicine, and recently got certified in lifestyle medicine, going with my passion, right, to prevent and reverse chronic diseases. So that's what I'm passionate about, and what I'm doing, and what the book is about is using lifestyle to prevent and reverse chronic diseases like obesity, hypertension, high cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, and all these diseases that have become very prevalent, not just in America but all over the world. So that's what I'm doing, and right now I'm actually more into coaching, because I feel like, well, being in the clinic is good. I was prescribing medications a lot, but now what I can do is actually coach people to apply their lifestyle, more especially nutrition. I'm very passionate about nutrition. It's something we eat every day, and it's something we can use to better our health.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Define. Like what I said, there's tons of questions for Dr. Define's interview yesterday. I think everybody, because if there's what's common to everyone eats.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, yes.
And every time like you were educating everybody who was watching you yesterday, I was also being educated and partly guilty with my diet. So with Letitia's career, like besides you focusing on your memoir, Muñecas, you mentioned last time about you visiting the village and that was your inspiration
Right.
behind the story. But what's your daily career or what keeps you busy on a regular basis?
I'm a retired teacher. I taught English, U.S. history, Chicano studies, American history, and folklorico and theater. That's how
Wow.
I get bored. Well, that's why I would
Someone's
get bored.
going to do an act today.
Well, I taught them 3 a year. I didn't teach them all. But, ballet folklorico and Chicano studies, not too many teachers in California. So Chicano studies is kind of like a dying. It's only in the colleges, but I teach it in the high school level. And the English, I teach ESL to newcomers. I write plays at the high school level, and I use my students as inspiration. Most of my plays are about immigration and what the students go through, and then I put them on at the school or the community, and then the community, and especially the schools, the teachers say, "Oh, I didn't know that happened. I didn't know that student came in a train. I didn't know that student lived by himself." So I'm making them aware of that through the plays. I also teach a group of women in the community, and I teach them folklorico and I teach them self-esteem classes. And they are my biggest fans, right? They've been sending me letters every day and notes every day. But I did go back to the village. The village is named La Laja, which is in the closer to Puerto Vallarta in Jalisco. And that is my husband's land. He was born there. During the revolution, this land was given to his grandmother. And so his family is still there. I'm going there on Friday. We have a home there that we built. And the inspiration there was the lifestyle, the look into life and the universe and being one with nature. Something we lost in the city, camaraderie between family, the respect, everything that I see slowly decaying in Los Angeles, in the schools. And it's kind of like I see time moving, and I see where we've been and where we're going. And so it's always inspiring to come down. So after all this, I need a little break in the village.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about counseling here and career and students, which is very much relatable. I mean, Letitia was a teacher, and we have here Maggie, who has been a counselor for more than 20 years. And talking about turtle, and you said yesterday that even you are a counselor, sometimes you can be a turtle
Yeah.
and you need help.
Yeah.
And I'm so curious because, like lawyers and doctors, these professionals like counselors, I see them as someone who is so educated and learned enough and so strong, and they're just up there and above there. Sometimes I see them that probably there's no problem that they're experiencing in life at all because they've overcome things and become who they are. So as a counselor, you said that sometimes it can be a turtle. Um, like your students, when can a counselor, it can be a personal experience or at least something that you can share that you can tell that you're a turtle sometimes, even if you're a counselor.
Well, I think it's part of the human experience, right? That we have, life is never fully, always blissful and a bowl of cherries. And we have emotions, we have stresses, we have triggers, we have histories that make us strong and vulnerable sometimes,
Exactly.
right? And so being in the human experience, I think that, I want people to know that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to experience every emotion. And that doesn't mean, I really stay away from good emotion and bad emotion. No. It's all emotion. It's part of the human experience. And when we are struggling in difficult emotion, I think that we need to lean in as much as we can to acceptance. That, all my work is about honoring, releasing in its own time, in its own way, because we can't jump from pain to joy. Right? It's not a big leap. It's not a big jump. It's a process. So in all of my work, it's about honoring. It's about allowing and pausing to hear ourselves. And when people come to my office, a lot of it is for them to hear themselves. how often do we pause to really hear our truth and to feel safe to express whatever it is that we're feeling? And that's how healing happens, when we go to those safe, vulnerable, emotional places with ourselves and with each other. So I always say that we all have a turtle shell.
Exactly.
And it's my job to go in there and make sure that my turtle shell is clean and healthy. That's my job. That's my, but and part of it is I need to do that alone. That is my job. That is, sometimes I need to be in solitude. Sometimes I need to be in meditation. Sometimes I need to be in prayer. Sometimes I need to be in the forest or by the ocean, all by myself in my turtle shell. That's very healthy. But it can backfire as well, right? If I spend too much time in there, it can be isolating and dark, and I forget to poke my head out and remember that somebody else needs my help, because sometimes that gives me purpose and meaning when I connect with somebody else who is struggling. That's also very beautiful, because then I remember that I'm strong and I have something to offer. But also, it's important that I poke my head out sometimes and ask for help.
Now, this is a very interesting circle because we only have one caballero here. We only have one here. And talking about emotion, like you said, there's no good or bad emotion. Emotion is emotion.
Yes.
It can go to male, female, whatever gender. So we only have one here, and I know there's a lot of viewers who are men right now who are watching. And how are you dealing with vulnerabilities too, Amir?
Sure, definitely. Again, I can be a witness throughout my life and struggles. Again, I'm Pakistani Mexican and also Muslim, right? So the adversities that I've had growing up, and psychological, growing up, being Spanish speaking first, to learning English, and then obviously being Muslim and trying to go through those adversities. And then when you start dealing with the aspects of the world that say, hey, you're this, you're that, and we don't like you because you're like this, and it's just like you have to overcome that. Being a man myself and trying to going through those instances allows you to understand that you have to take time for yourself and realize that there is growth. You learn from different stories. You learn from the health. You learn from the adversities. Through the stories of your mothers, right, and also your fathers, and to become strong in my book as well is trying to overcome those simple adversities. Whereas children themselves can learn, practice, their life path. They are going to hit the wall. You will hit the wall. You either you'll have financial issues, you'll have a health issue, or something to that degree, and you have to learn how to. It may not be the perfect scenario going forward, but it's what God has also aligned for you at that particular time.
Thank you so much, Amir. I mean, I hope everybody, all gentlemen who's watching us right now, you're not alone in this journey. We have Amir who's experienced vulnerabilities as well. Now, for Pastora, talking about hitting the wall, when can a pastor hit the wall? And how do you deal with that?
Well, in many instances, we are human beings, and just being men or women of God, I think, like you said, when you have a professional, people look at them as if they're always at the top of their game,
Exactly.
everything figured out in life. And I was sharing with Amir and his mom a while ago, because I am writing the next book, and I told them this book has been in the works since 2014. And it's about family and how to bring about the best of your family. And right on that year, we hit a wall as a family with my daughter. She had an experience, and she got married at a very young age. The whole church, the whole society begins to judge you, and you have to take a stop, make a stop, and kind of become that turtle as a family wall. Went inside ourselves, our home, and took care of each other. We made sure that we survived that difficulty, that struggle that we were having, and we came out, together, strong, and making sure that people knew that we had survived. But I think most of the times is being aware of who you are and knowing that even though people think that you have it figured out, you know that you don't. You know that you are a human being, you are vulnerable, you will have difficulties. You will make mistakes, but those mistakes don't necessarily mean that you are not a pure person, that you're not a person with good intention, and you have the best intention for those who listen to you. I think that's what we need to be aware of.
Amazing, amazing. If you quite notice, the topic right now is really making us and showing to the world that authors like yourselves are humans too, right? Your book may be teaching a lesson, right? It's always focusing on educating people, informing about the things in life that you've been through, that there's always hope. It's always about that. It's always about teaching them something, a lesson, right? But I hope that this panel is really telling everybody and showing everybody our vulnerable side as well, so that we become more relatable. Because just like what you said, the more professionals you are, sometimes people forget that you go through things too,
Exactly.
right? You go through things. Now let's talk about, yes.
If I can just say something
Mm-hmm.
really quick on that, I think that the best way that we have to learn about something is teaching it. And we have Amir, who wrote his book when he was a child, and he's teaching us now a whole lot of things. All of us are teaching from a lesson that we learned, but it doesn't mean that we know everything about life. I think that's our message.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, thank you so much even for adding that information, because teaching, going down and compromising yourself and putting it on a book is really showing everybody your vulnerable side
Yeah.
and the lessons that you learned from being in that side.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like the world has been through, I think that there's been many, many challenging chapters in history. Our ancestors went through challenging chapters in history. But I know that myself and my children, and I think people can relate to this last few years has been shaky.
Yeah.
It's been challenging. We went through the pandemic. We went through a lot of fear where life wasn't what we knew it, and we weren't counting on things as we knew it. We weren't walking on the stable life that we knew, right? And I think that we were looking at the news and we were in a lot of fear, and that's when I was inspired to write. That's when I was inspired to write. I'm a counselor. I didn't see myself being an author, but when I saw the world on pause, and I saw the world in fear, and I saw all of us doing the best we could, no matter what that was, to get through it, because we all did that in our own ways. But I also saw division and judgment,
Yeah.
and I saw that we're not going to do well in fear. It's going to compromise our immune systems. It's going to bring out the worst coping mechanisms that we could possibly bring out to get through it. And so somehow we need to be able to honor the fear, because we can't jump over it. We have to honor the fear, but we have to be able to come together to move through it and transform it. And when this world was on pause, I thought there's a gift in here somewhere. When we plant seeds in the compost that is stinky and dark, and that's where things grow, right? So when we were all on pause in that place, I knew there was something growing inside of us that was for the good for all of us. And grandmother,
We're seeing it.
and,
It's right
and a
here.
lot of creativity came out, and a lot of family time came out, and a lot of returning to garden and baking bread and simple practices and less time on our screens and running about and here and there and not listening to each other and to ourselves. So there's a lot of good that came from it, and this is why I was inspired. And Grandmother Turtle came with me, through me, to say, please tell the people that there is something here to hold on to in this time about taking better care of ourselves, each other, and our planet, because really that's all there is.
Exactly. Dr. Define, when is Dr. Define vulnerable?
That's an amazing question. Like everybody's talking. I also wrote this book when I was sick. I mean, there was the pandemic, but in 2021, I was diagnosed with a pituitary tumor. It was non-cancer, thank God, but I had a tumor of the pituitary gland. So if you know, the pituitary gland is a master gland. It's at the base of the brain.
It's in the brain.
The base of the brain. So I was diagnosed. I had to have surgery because the tumor was big, that it was pressing on the optic chiasm, which is where the optic nerve, the nerve to the eyes, crossing the brain. It was pressing on it, and it was also putting pressure on my carotid arteries, which is the nerves that run, to the brain. So I had to have surgery within a week of the diagnosis. So after I got the surgery, my pituitary stopped working. It did not work. So I'm on medication. So this is my variable point. I am on a hormone replacement. So even though I might talk about health and getting people off medications, I cannot get off of my medications because they are hormone replacements. But I cannot stop telling others about health just because I have my own challenges, right? So spreading the message, making sure we all stay healthy and deal with the situations we have, with positivity. I know I have faith, I have a lot of faith, and I'm here to encourage everyone that, don't get discouraged with your situation, because during that time, after that, that's when I wrote the book.
Exactly.
Yes.
To add to that. Again, vulnerabilities of health have always come through as well. I've suffered, I had alopecia areata for a while. It's spots, you have spots of the hair fall out.
Alopecia.
Alopecia areata. It's, again, suffering is kind of a stress disorder as well. But again, it came because of, those stresses, those vulnerabilities that, it was hard to overcome. The faith of my mom, my family, you're able to draw that out. And also have healthy medications, oils, and treatment. We're all going to have those adversities, and we'll have the stories that come out of it. And if you have that same story, in my family we have cancer as well. Trying to overcome that, take your time, understand your own health, go through those adversities. You can even reach out to any of us if you would like to.
Yes.
Be inspiration to you.
Exactly.
I just like to add quickly, with me, it was depression. And of course, that depression took me so deep that I needed to find someone. I needed help. And my husband, luckily for me, was able to realize it. Instead of medicating me, which was what was given to me, instead of Prozac and all these things that kept me sleeping, he took me to the village. And now when I hear people with their depression and they're all illed up, they're walking like zombies, I try to promote, my story and tell them there are ways. Like you said, you gotta face it. People sometimes with depression, they usually jump over it. But this book and our work is an example of facing it, going through it, walking through it, understanding it, and then move to the next level. So I think depression is one of the biggest diseases right now, besides cancer and all those things, but depression, even in children. So I've worked with children talking about facing a monster that's making you think that way and think of happy things, because children have told me, well, my mommy's depressed and I see her crying. So we don't realize as adults how much of an example and influence we are on our children. So that's a growing situation, I understand. And I think the doctor knows more about it than I do. But depression for me was an issue, and thank God, through my book and through other experiences, I'm able to face it. My husband died in 2021. Barely, my partner of 46 years. And I'm going through the stages right now. It's not over, but it made it a little lighter to understand that this is something we go through, but I don't have to stay in the hole. And that's the big message.
I just felt to add something. It's okay? Yeah, because of the depression, like you said, we're not only just dealing with heart disease and cancer and all this, but we're also dealing with depression. And I know there are many factors that lead into this disease, but one of the biggest things is actually our food. So let me tell you, when we eat high fiber foods, it feeds the gut microbiome. So maybe you have been hearing of all the microbiome stuff that's going on out there. It's a really hot topic. We're not talking about taking supplements for fiber. No, we're talking about eating fiber-rich foods, which is whole plant foods. You don't find fiber anywhere else except whole plants, right? It's not animal food, not highly processed foods, right? But when we feed the gut microbiome, it produces neurochemicals. Hundreds of neurochemicals that affect our cognition, our memory, our mood. So we really have to start with the food. And like I said, we can't get away. We have to eat.
I kind of agree with that,
We
Doc.
have to eat. So I wanted to add that.
I kind of agree with that, Doc, because I don't think I have depression, but definitely if I eat a lot of meat for that day, it's so hard for me to even go to bed and have a good night rest.
Right,
I think that makes sense.
It,
Right?
it is.
It's really different.
Overall diet and eating fruits, vegetables provides that quality. I was actually, I told her a story that me and my wife we went to Hawaii one time, and in the morning we had breakfast. So the first day we had kind of normal breakfast, but the previous day we were supposed to go on a tour, and they only had we got there a little bit late, so they only had like fruits and some juices and stuff like that. We ate pineapple, and we lasted all the way to almost like 4 or 5 o'clock. We went through the whole tour. We went, snorkeling as well, full of energy. And it's just because we ate that much watermelon, and pineapple, and we just had the overall energy. It does have its quality.
I hope everyone's paying attention because I am. I'm paying attention. I like fruits, but it's also hard to get rid of other stuff, especially highly processed food, because it's everywhere. I mean, business, it's
When
just
we travel,
everywhere.
It's so difficult.
It's so different.
Yes, it is. Maybe the doctor has suggestions for us when we travel because it is in here. I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
I think that's. I would like to capitalize on that topic too, Dr. Daphne. Like, I think you can definitely do whole food if you're at home.
Right.
But how about those who frequently travel? You're always out. What do you suggest?
Definitely, it's a bit hard. I'll give you an example. This morning at my hotel, because there was breakfast, right? It was hard because I went there. First of all, the language was a bit hard to understand because I don't speak Spanish, and the people in the hotel didn't speak English. I was trying to figure out what do I eat. They were, telling me eggs, from what I could understand, right? And probably sausage and white bread and all these things. And I'm like, none of this I can eat. But then she had an app. So I asked her, I said, do you have beans and corn tortilla and fruit? Some that you can always, it's going to take more effort, but you can always ask for something else, like see what options they have. But it's interesting, you know what she called it? Natural. That's what she called it. Natural. She wants natural food. People know what natural food is like, but we just don't do it. So I think that, and especially when we travel, high stress, you're not sleeping enough, adding on top of that, not eating well, you get sick. So I carry fruit now. Like, it's going to be hard if you're traveling for days, but I make sure I carry fruit, maybe if I can make some, what can I say? I mean, something that is easy to carry. I'm trying to think what I carry, but mostly I carry fruit. And then when water, make sure I carry water, because let me tell you, sometimes I feel like it's okay for me to quote unquote fast than eat something that's gonna do me harm, right?
Yeah.
Like if you eat highly processed foods, meats and stuff, you get constipated. Of course I don't eat meat, I'm not talking from that standpoint, but you get constipated and you feel uncomfortable. So I feel like I can go extended periods of time without eating, or maybe at least find something, maybe a fruit, but they're more expensive. That's the sad thing. A little cup of fruit, $10.
Society.
Right, that's a society thing. So I feel like carrying something, I could make maybe some pancakes to carry, some waffles to carry, some, what else? Some stuff that is easy to carry, but again, go extended period of time. Make sure I have water though. Make sure you stay hydrated, and because I feel like sometimes we eat because we are bored, it's time to eat. And you can go extended period of time without eating. You can go 6 hours without eating, but drink your water. So I feel like just make the effort to find something that's a little bit better, even if you might not find, maybe even if it's white bread with some vegetables. I like to go to maybe like a Subway or like how do you call this, Chipotle, when I'm traveling. So at least something better for you. You can
Exactly.
do that. Yes.
But I'm not sure if you would agree with me that the more natural the food you're looking for in the market, the more expensive it is compared to the processed food. So I think everybody could have the chance to really embrace whole food and the future of medicine to avoid, illnesses and all. If only the government, businesses would also support that. But if it's not commercial enough and making them,
Money?
profit and money, then
I would
that's a problem.
so. She touched on upon as this story is based on what we had during the pandemic. You know, I think a lot of people were actually drawn out in how they determined like, wow, I'm not eating healthy. I'm no longer going to work, and I was like, man, I wasn't really eating well because I would go eat lunch and go out with my coworkers. Okay, we go here, there, and after what happens, we also they go to the bars or hangouts and everything like that. So it's not just not eating right during lunchtime, but then the after effect, hanging out with people and those enjoyments also have a factor. But I think during the pandemic, it kind of slowed people down into realizing the areas of where they're vulnerable emotionally, health, and also within their health as well, and their diet. I mean, definitely that was I was telling her those 3 weeks during the pandemic were the most beautiful moments in life that I've had. We were drawn to family, community. If like people didn't have toilet paper, which was very hard to come by at a certain point, I guess, your neighbors were very very beneficial in the overall community. And like if I had a garden at that time, so my tomatoes were flourishing, peppers were flourishing. So it's just kind of like a trade type of mechanism that occurred, and that was awesome.
Perfect. And again, I think that's something that everyone can share, but let's transition to becoming an author. Okay. And I know that everything is so interconnected, right? I mean, all of you has a story about canceling, for children getting out of your shell, um, accepting failure as part of the race, embracing yourself as a warrior, and coming from the experiences of others, and you learn from it. And of course, in a medical standpoint, everything is just so interconnected. It's everywhere, but sometimes if you have to go back to where it starts, I think the source is really within us. It's in our body. It can be even in our gut to that point. Now, becoming an author, I think it pays to have our authors who is watching us right now to know, because you guys are amazing authors. You've been professionals in your own way, in your own rights. You have been the most successful person that you are today in your own rights. But I think a lot of authors to experience what they say, the lowlights, I think it pays to know also when was that you say that you're experiencing your low light as an author. You don't want to write, you don't want to promote it. Sometimes you are the non-believer of your own book or if your own, principles. We're humans, and authors who are watching us right now, pay attention, because this is what we're connecting virtually right now to these amazing authors that we have here. When do you consider one as a low light, and how do you deal with it? Let's start with you, Pastora.
Okay, I was sharing yesterday how your own family members, you have the book, it's there, it's printed, it's your baby, you're celebrating it, but they haven't read it, and they won't read it. And you feel like a failure at that moment. Like if they don't read it, then nobody's gonna read it. And then you have to come to that sense of satisfaction of knowing that you put your thoughts in paper and you made the effort to, review it and publish it, and it's there. It's your baby. And then you start to see the fact that even though they don't read it, they read you. They've read you throughout their lives, so they know what you put down on paper. But I think that was one of the moments when I felt like they're not going to read it. They're not grabbing it. They're not eating it. So probably it's never going to happen. It's never going to go out there. People are not going to read it. And when I started to see that people, connected with the book, they found something of interest, and I shared that with my family. They all knew already what I had written. So I think one of the lowlights could be that you feel like you're on your own, and there's no future for that book. But putting it down, printing it, getting it done is a success on its own.
Exactly. How about you, Leticia? That moment that you feel like, oops, I'm not sure. Because there's always that high moment, right? That adrenaline, that ecstasy of having your thoughts being written in a book. But there are moments too that probably when you go to bed, like, did I do enough? Was that even enough? But you're starting to even hesitate what you're thinking and what you put on the book. When was that moment, and how did you deal with that?
Well, I think for me it was self-judgment. Like, I'm really hard on myself, like some people are, and I judge myself before I even put it out. What are they gonna think? Because I paint myself as a martyr. Because that's what I heard, when I was getting it together. Oh, you're just a martyr, and it's from close family friends, and you're just doing this because you want attention. And so I had to examine, go inside myself, is it being a martyr? Do I want the attention? And I thought, I want to help people, and yes, I want the attention, but not the attention to become the next Madonna. I want the attention to get the book sold and the message out. So doubt and sometimes shame. Like I had a book signing in Los Angeles, and the day before I told the people who were helping me, I said, I don't want to do this. I'm ashamed. They're going to look at me and they're going to laugh, or they're going to say, she wrote this, I'm an English teacher and there's mistakes, or how could she be talking about that? And I just felt like canceling the whole thing. And she said, my friend told me, you can't cancel, you got to move forward. But I got to tell you, that first signing and exposure of my book, I was afraid. I was afraid of being judged, and I was afraid of not about being successful. I think if I would have given the book out in Australia or something where nobody knew me, I would have been okay. But where I was, my students, my family, they all knew me. And I'm with Lester. No one in my family has read it, not even my boys. My boys, I asked my daughter-in-law, my boys haven't read it, and they don't want to hear your pain, because we know the book is about pain, and they don't want to be around that. But I think shame and self-doubt was one of my lowest.
How about you, Maggie?
Well, in a way, I feel like when I came with the book, and the book's arrived finally after a long process of going through 4 illustrators and having it in my mind, and then finally having the book arrive, and there's the box on my doorstep, and then it's the middle of the pandemic, and how can you have a book signing? How can you have a big party? There was Earth Day, and I had a big vision of having a band and music and people and food. No, none of that could happen, right? So here I was in the top of in a little cafe, and some clients came, and some family came, and some friends came, and I got a really good reception, and that felt all warm and fuzzy. But then time goes on, and it's like, how am I going to get liftoff? How am I going to get this book? There's been like a little trickle of, every time I connect with somebody, there's a really nice warm fuzzy feeling with this book, because it's really for all ages, even though it's a children's book. But how do you get liftoff? How do you get Grandmother Turtle beyond my little place in Victoria further? And so there's been dark moments there, like dark night of the soul there, like feeling like, oh, was it all worth it? How is it possibly going to reach as far as I would love it to in my mind? And then you come to something like this, and you connect with authors that are in the same place, and you hear the struggle that they're also going through. You hear the learning curve that we're all going through, and you have, this amazing place where there's so many places to learn and to connect and to grow and to discover, and I can feel that we're already all lifting each other. So it feels like it's going to ripple out further, and that's the beauty of this.
How about you, Amir?
I guess my struggle was that I had to wait 20 years to actually publish this book, since my mom kept it in the safe deposit box. That was not the struggle. But in trying to publish it, again, I'm not in the industry during the pandemic. As I was trying to read how to publish, I didn't really understand. Some said, oh, you got to go get an agent, a publishing company. I'm like, if I send it to a publishing company during the pandemic, they're not even probably looking at their mail. I'm like, so I'm just sending it to like somewhere where nobody's gonna read it, or just another box and things like that. So it was definitely trying to learn. The exciting time was having it finally in my fingers, enjoying that moment. Then again, it became marketing. I'm like, I don't know how to do this either. And so that was a little struggle, and how to get into the bookstores. Again, I had a similar experience. I think I had one kind of signing at a library, signing. So you are going to get into those situations, but the hope is that with the support of other authors, their works as well, we can also bring that interest.
And finally, Dr. Define, you're in a medical field, in a medical standpoint, and now deciding to becoming an author and putting your thoughts out there. When was that time that you don't feel like writing, or you even don't believe in what you're thinking?
You know, I share a lot on my Facebook, about before I wrote this book, I was talking about already the principles. Really, it was mainly the nutrition part. That's my main focus, right? And I'm talking, about that and all that. But then, people, write back to me and they're like, it's so hard. Like, how can you, you're advocating for plant-based diet. It's hard to get this kind of foods and all these things. So I'm like, should I, how am I supposed to write this message to actually, because really what I wanted to convey is, I can't even call myself vegan, because being a vegan is a lifestyle. These people don't even wear leather or anything, nothing with the animals, right? So that's not what I'm talking about. So plant-based, that's what I wanted to communicate to the people, that you need to want to reduce the amount of animal food if you still want to eat it, because there's no nutrition need for animal food. And that's the biggest misinformation we've had for so long, that we need animal food for protein. It's high quality protein, but it's actually not. Plant protein is high quality protein because it comes with so many other nutrients. It comes with fiber, antioxidants, phytochemicals, minerals, all this stuff. So I was just like, I don't understand why people don't get it. Like, sometimes it's frustrating to me, because I'm like, it's so clear to me, from the studies and everything, but I'm like, I don't know why people don't get it. So promoting the book and saying, well, I do talk about nutrition and whole foods, and then people saying, well, are you promoting the veganism and all this? And I'm like, well, that's really not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you want to eat most of your food needs to be whole food, plant-based, right? So I think it's just people not getting the information or rejecting it right away, like
putting it into a box.
Into a box. Like, this is, instead of hearing what I'm trying, what I'm saying, and I'm like, I'm writing this, and I've read the research and I've experienced it in my own life. I've been plant-based for 15 years. So it's frustrating when you're like, I know what I'm talking about, I know what I want to say, but it's like the reception. People are not ready to receive it, and they're fighting back. And I'm like, just give it a try. Give it a try in 3 weeks, So just kind of that, because I'm really passionate. I'm not just doing this because, I really am passionate about people's health, improving their health, and how do I call it? Fighting against the misinformation and disinformation, because when they come and say, well, it's carbohydrates that are making me gain weight and giving me diabetes. No, it's the meat, it's the cheese, and all this animal food and highly processed food with oils and fats. Actually, fats and oils is the big issue here. But they're coming, of course, in animal food with animal protein, processed foods and fats and oils we used to cook at home. So how do you counter that when people all over the place, they're doing keto diet, because the problem is carbohydrates, and they don't understand that the problem is actually fats. So it's fighting against this widely spread information, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know if it's worth it fighting. Is it worth fighting? Is it worth fighting?
Yeah,
right?
that's
like,
true.
Should I just do this for myself and my family and not fight anymore? But I'm like, no. Even that one person, this is what I think. I'm like, even that one person who hears this message and tries it, changes their whole family. They can spread this. So that is my hope, that even if it's one person, it affects generations.
Thank you so much. So Dr. Define, we're down to, you just didn't notice we're almost an hour talking. Right? Wow. So we are down to the last part we're in. I want you guys to tell everybody, invite them to check your website, your social media accounts, tell them where they can find you and directly ask questions, and perhaps you have a copy of your book. So let's start with you, Dr. Define.
Yeah, so I'm actually really active on Facebook. Instagram, not as much, but Facebook for sure. I post every day, videos and just, blogs, articles and stuff that I write about health. So you can come ask questions. I share recipes. As I was saying, you can when I travel, like I carry pancakes and waffles, and maybe some people are thinking, but that's not healthy either. I make whole grain waffles from oats. I make whole wheat pancakes with nothing but I use soy milk. It's plant-based. So check my Facebook and you can see all these recipes and stuff that I make. Ask questions. Daphne Cañaro on Facebook.
My book is Muñecas, and you can find me on Instagram at Yo Soy LeticiaCervantes.com or my Facebook, Leticia Cervantes. I'm learning to use it. I'm not as active, but you could go in there. I know it's in there. I also have a website. It's Leticia Cervantes. So that's how active I am. Gmail, I think. Right. So everything is under Leticia Cervantes Lopez. Thank you. And my book is Muñecas.
Thank you. You can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as Pastora Betsy Cordova. And then from then on, you're going to lead on to my social media for the foundation, Manos Unidas Foundation, which is where I'm mostly active on everything that I do.
So my name is Maggie Reedy, and I'm based in Canada, but the book is available on Amazon. It's called The Great Global Pause, Inspired by Life on Earth in 2020. And although it is a children's book, it's really for all ages, and nothing warms my heart more than when the older adults buy it for the little one, the little bambino, and then they call me and say, it was for me, it actually reached me. And my hope would be that this would ripple out to families and classrooms and churches and groups and schools. And at the back of the book, we have reflection questions and things to think about so that we have meaningful intergenerational conversations with each other. I believe that we need to really talk to each other and think about what it is that we're creating on this life and what we want on this earth and how we can take better care of ourselves so that love always wins and kindness and respect.
Hi, I'm the author of Speedboat Race. My name is Amir Khan. You can find background feedback media on my website, www.speedboat-race.com. Also on Instagram, I post once in a while different things, different stories. It's at Speedboat Race. And again, you can find me on Amazon, Barnes & Noble website as well.
And you mentioned we're all on Amazon. I forgot to say.
Amazon, everybody.
I forgot to say.
Amazon. We're available on Amazon.
I forgot to say www.turtletalkwisdom.ca is where you can find me, and you can follow me at Turtle Talk Wisdom on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anything else? That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody, I think all books are in Amazon. Again, this has been an amazing panel for the rest of you. All authors, please raise your books so that everybody would have a chance to see it. Again, grab a copy of the Amazon, Barnes & Noble, to the respective websites and all their social media accounts. To those whose questions were not asked today due to time constraint, they will go by and they'll definitely visit the page and they will definitely go straight to your comments and they can respond to you directly or send them a message, right? Again, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure, everybody. You guys did a good job. Congratulations. And let's hope that the Guadalajara International Book Fair would be the outlet for your success moving forward. Again, thank you so much. Everybody stay tuned. Thank you. Good job.
Y como dijo Vargas, no te rajes, Jalisco.